Welcome to the 2021 Corporate Startup Stars, the celebration of the trailblazers in open innovation. The corporates among the Fortune 500 and Forbes 2000 that distinguished themselves for their outstanding performance in 2021.
At MindedBridge, we started this process back in 2015, initially under the frame of the European Commission Startup Europe Partnership, and afterwards, since 2020, we expanded to a global worldwide award thanks to the partnership with ICC.
At ICC, we're delighted to lend our global platform to Corporate Startup Stars. This is a wonderful opportunity for us to be at the heart of innovation for the 21st century. Big shout out to our board member, Candace Johnson, who's made such an important introduction at the beginning. We genuinely believe in innovation. We've been around for 100 years and we keep on innovating, and we'll do more with Corporate Startup Stars. And now we're going to hear from Cédric O, the Minister.
Bonjour à toutes et à tous, dear all. Je voudrais remercier vraiment John Denton, le secrétaire général de la Chambre de commerce internationale, pour son invitation aujourd'hui pour parler de la question de la relation entre les startups et les grands groupes. I'm going to now turn to English, since this is for the International Chamber of Commerce. And I think that the topic that you're tackling today with the Corporate Startup Award is something that is quite important for our economy, for startups obviously, but maybe moreover for our big groups and big corporate. We see that we are involved and engaged into an innovation economy. What we've seen globally is a global competition for innovation, and starting from that, a global competition for capital, and for talent. And I think we can assume the fact that the economy in the country or the continent that will be the most innovative will be leading the way in terms of economic prosperity, but also in terms of how do we answer, as far as we Western societies are concerned, to the great challenges of our time. And I have to stress that because innovation is a question, and being able to be performant and to be efficient in terms of economic KPI, but this is also a question to be able to answer to the greatest challenge that we are facing: climate change, aging societies, shortage on food, and so on and so on. And this is why we have to be able to foster innovation all around the Western world. And the thing that we have to assume also is the fact that if we look at, for instance, the 10 biggest market capitalization all over the world, 8 out of 10 of them are tech companies. 6 out of 10 did not exist 25 years ago. And this is embodying something that is usual in innovation, is that this is often newcomers that are able to foster and to stimulate innovation. And innovation is coming out of startups, out of entrepreneurs, out of innovators. And this is why we need more cooperation between big corporates and startups. If we look at traditional industries like the car making industries, like space industries, they have been disrupted by newcomers like SpaceX and like Tesla. And so I do think that from a general interest point of view, we need more cooperation between startups and big groups, because big groups can be markets and can drive and help startups to develop faster. They can offer new competencies to startups. They can offer new market to startups. And with cooperation between big group and startup, there will be a lot to win for startups. But if I'm completely straightforward, I would think that from a big corporate point of view, this is even more important. This is even more important because we see that big corporation, there are some that has been able to transform over the past decades. Walmart, for instance, is one of them. Target is one of them. But it's so difficult, and I've been working with a big French corporation, to transform and to be able to answer to the challenges that are raised by the new economy, that we need, and you need, more cooperation with startups in order to be able to answer to the question and to the challenges that are raised. So I think there is a huge win-win situation to be built, and we need to foster cooperation between two worlds, startups and big corporations, that to some extent too often does not understand each other very well. So I want to praise the ICC for organizing that event. I think we need more like it. I hope that all the B Corporation, but also startups that are involved within that discussion will make the most of it. And this is obviously a discussion that will go on for a long time.
Every year, we identify 50 companies that are active in working with startups. We call them corporate startup stars and open innovation challengers. We have a panel of judges from around the world. These judges include Linda Smith, Priya Guha, Fernando Spinola, Timothy Tong, Jung Kap Kim, and I'm honored to be amongst these judges. The judges are recognized world leaders in open innovation coming from corporations, universities, startups, and the investment community. We scour the world to find those corporations who embrace innovation and embed it in their daily business. The process included research from universities, venture firms, startups, and due diligence on the corporations themselves.
It's time now to move downstairs for continuing our award celebration over the gala dinner.
Last year, we were forced to shelter at home. The awards were streamed, having gold speakers, including us and the awarded companies, sit in their home. While not back to normality yet, at least this year, part of us can be sitting, meeting, and sharing experience in the beautiful Paris. How have COVID-19 impacted the activities of the corporate startup stars? We have asked this very question, and here's what we got.
So like the rest of the world, we discovered we'd have to do things differently. We also, through design thinking exercise, deployed Aramco scientists to work on pandemic-related innovations. One of them was designing an algorithm to optimize regional vaccine distribution in the kingdom, for example.
During the last 2 years, like any company, we have been impacted by the pandemic and the consequences of the pandemic. It really boosted the digital interactions, and it actually catalyzed a major change in the way healthcare is practiced. A lot of things that were deemed to be impossible, or blocked by regulations, or blocked by the legal framework here and there, all those things are now becoming real. Telehealth, teleconsultation, gaining time for patients, not exposing them to waiting rooms. All those things that we thought would take ages to happen are now becoming kind of a common thing across different geographies.
COVID has definitely been a very important step in our open innovation strategy. The way we have dealing with it is we have been closer than ever with our startups, either in the way we finance and we help them. Moreover, all our acceleration programs remain completely open, and remotely we were working with them in order to co-create the best solutions for tomorrow.
Certainly, COVID affected us all and is still affecting us today. However, we do not see a fundamental change in our overall strategy. What we do see is that especially VC funding of startups is better than ever before. So we have seen doubling numbers in the US and in Europe, and also increases in China.
During the pandemic, open innovation was key to allow us to quickly screen and assist our customers' demands. With intensive of AI, data, and analytics, we delivered solutions to help clients in the accelerated use of digital channels.
In the beginning of 2020, when COVID reached Brazil, we were very concerned how the startups would perform under such pressure. At that time, we decided to be even closer to the ecosystem to check their necessities and try to help them to pass this crisis?
Well, certainly as the pandemic started, we had to adapt, no? And at the beginning, as a company in Cemex, we were very careful in actually making sure that we could flow through the pandemic without a big problem. So at the beginning, we were very cautious, no? But as the pandemic moved on, the market started to open, construction started to open, we managed to figure out a way to be as aggressive and effective in actually sourcing open innovation. No?
The COVID has not meant any kind of obstacle for open innovation in Enagás. On the contrary, we have speeded up our process of open innovation. We have invested in some companies during the pandemic, but also we have launched an open call named Energía Positiva, jointly with other Spanish energy corporations. As a result of this call, we have received more than 400 projects and startups, and we have invested in more than 12. It's a good example of cooperation and collaboration in open innovation between the corporates and the startup ecosystem.
COVID didn't have a particularly impact on our open innovation strategies. Maybe what I have to say is that it had a little bit of a positive impact because we realized during the pandemic that all of the efforts that we did in the last few years in remotizing the control of our assets, the monitoring, the remotizing our way of working, and digitizing all of the connections that we have with our assets and with our clients helped us to go through the pandemic in a good enough way, like to be able to deliver well our energy to the people that needed it.
The main COVID impact for our group has been in the field operations. Every time a supervisor, a technician, an operator needs to get into contact and needs to get on site, obviously with the restrictions of movement and physical contact has been constrained in their normal activities. On the other hand, this brought about many innovations which favor a contactless and distant type of operation, which we find bring a lot of efficiency even post-COVID.
So the pandemic has been a big issue overall. I would have to say that for the open innovation and the overall organization has not been that big because IR was immediately able to react. We took the safe of our employee as first priority, but we were already organized to work from remote. And we keep on having in track all our projects in the open innovation as well as in the other areas.
The pandemic changed the way we had been doing business with the startups. We could no longer travel and meetings could not be face-to-face. But we kept on working with them, although in a different way. The call made to startups and scale-ups received almost 400 proposals related to environmental sustainability, mobility, social impact, always from the standpoint of energy.
Yeah, and the thing that has changed mostly, I think, is that from physical meetings we skipped everything to online, and we keep working on finding great innovative companies with challenges within KPN. And I think we even did higher numbers last year than years before. So we managed.
COVID has impacted our open innovation strategies by really accelerating it. We've had the framework at MasterCard on moving to digital for really every possible use case that you can think of. What COVID has done is accelerate the demands and the needs in the market, but also the influx of capital into these fintechs. There will be $95 billion of funding in 2021 for fintechs, which is a 200% increase from 2020. It's not surprising because of the needs of the market, but what that allows us to do is to serve a very broad group of fintechs with our assets, our services, our expertise, whether that be through our programs, whether it be through MasterCard developers, or just different ways to innovate and create programs to scale.
As with most companies, COVID impacted how we collaborate and communicate in a remote world. I would say COVID has had a positive and a slightly negative impact on innovation. On the negative side, due to physical restrictions, it has slowed down some of our demonstrations and pilots. However, It's much easier now to connect with people and collaborate in a remote setting. We have to travel less, which is reducing cost, reducing our carbon footprint, and also improving our effectiveness and efficiency.
Well, I would say not too much. So the impact was quite limited. We kept launches, our launch program and the launch intensity. So we launched last year even more than any year before in the food and beverage industry. Well, you have to see the product, you have to taste the product, and that's virtually a bit different and a bit difficult. So I would say impact was limited, but the type of meetings and the way we interact with each other, that has probably changed a bit, and some of that will also remain in the future.
COVID has definitely impacted the way we do open innovation at Greentown. Not only most of our services to our members became virtual, but also for our launch acceleration programs, our companies used to have a travel stipend, come to Boston, do the program, and also be having a stipend for that too, while they were spending 6 months here in Boston. Things became virtual, and actually that led to quite a lot of advantages. For our acceleration programs, there were several things that happened. We had a Kaiteki or circularity program with Mitsubishi Chemical that was led from Mitsubishi from Japan, and it was a very good thing that we could do it virtually.
I can give you the corporate perspective on how the COVID crisis impacted startups while they were collaborating. The topic of timing, of temporality was also an issue, a question. Large corporations have extremely long decision cycles, while for the startups, things need to move quickly. In the early days of the COVID crisis, both were exacerbated. Corporates were slowed down, while startups needed to speed up to avoid dying. But there was also positive sides. In the positive side, new needs have emerged, new subjects on which large groups have needed the agility, the creativity and speed of small ones.
When COVID came, there was a lot of uncertainty. How would we work together? What kind of impact would it have on the project? But quite soon we actually noticed that almost all the activities could just go on. It's more accepted, more normal to plan, let's say, a call just for 50 minutes with a partner to just do a quick check. Is there a fit? You can talk to a lot more companies in this way, and also be selective that you don't always have to travel to see each other. On the other side, I think we all notice if you have a relationship face to face, it's a lot better. And especially when you decide to work together, it's nice if you can really meet each other in real life. It helps to build trust. It builds to get a quicker relationship.
The only impact that COVID has had on our open innovation activities is that we have had to go virtual. We continue to run programs in all of our 10 locations and have brought to date over 330 startups into SAP's ecosystem. The virtual setting has even enabled us to have more customer engagements with our startup.
COVID has upended all of our lives and brings new challenges every day. But it has not changed our fundamental priorities other than to cause us to look more closely at two areas that were really already interesting to us. Supply chain traceability, including having more granular tracking of upstream supply. And two, better understanding of how we can use our public and private spaces more safely and more efficiently.
코로나19로 인해 스타트업을 지원하는 신한금융그룹의 활동은 더욱 활발해졌습니다. 비대면 업무의 증가로 기존 기술 활용성이 재발견되고 테크의 중요성이 더욱 강조되었습니다. 오픈 이노베이션 차원에서 대기업들은 코로나19 상황 속에서 활용 가능한 기술을 보유한 스타트업과의 협력을 늘려 빠르게 환경을 바꾸어가는 시도를 추진하였습니다.
Before the pandemic, we had been working on our digital transformation to better respond to consumer needs and behaviors, create differentiation and new business models. Then came the COVID pandemic. Many of the priorities that were slowly progressing became a priority driven by our clients' and consumers' demands. This forced us to prioritize, focus, and accelerate key digital data transformation initiatives and our open innovation activities as key levers to support. We are now going deeper instead of wider, and more quickly.
When we have collaboration partners with startups, they are invited to be co-located either here in Gothenburg at our innovation hub here or in Bangalore. That has obviously not been possible during COVID. So we have had to rely on digital meetings, digital collaborations, but it has worked well.
Our open innovation agenda was not changed by the pandemic. Quite the contrary, it was accelerated. By having the need to operate remotely, we also looked into different startups in the ecosystem that could help us fight the pandemic and bring new solutions to keep our employees safe during this very difficult period.
I think COVID has been a kind of chief digital officer for us, and it has accentuated our very effort on open innovation. As COVID struck us in March 2020, the team at Makers Lab and the entire community of our, of government, of academia, etc., started studying what this virus is all about. We used principles of AI to actually find out about 17 molecules that may impact the virus from a database of about 8,000 FDA drugs.
I'm sure you agree that COVID has accelerated digitalization, and the startups has taken advantage of that. We've seen a lot of pivots and evolution and new ideas that comes to solve the new problems we have. 140 startups has already a contract in place with us during this 2021. So I think, and I like to see this situation as an opportunity, and this opportunity is bringing us great ideas to incorporate to our company and to make this our portfolio a bigger and more powerful one.
We find the world to be ever-changing in the process of building our ecosystem through our open innovation strategies. During these times of rapid change, we must adapt our strategy by experimenting with targeting certain narrower market niches, as well as with partnering with relatively larger companies. We need to enter and invest in new product categories, yet our target is not the total number of product categories that we invest in, but the healthy growth that we need. Oftentimes, this means saying no to a lot of seemingly attractive opportunities that do not fit into our business model.
Open innovation is no longer a niche activity performed by a few pioneers, but is becoming finally the mainstream way companies can innovate. No company in the world, whatever its size, industry, location, can innovate alone. And startups are now the new innovation vessels through which companies can co-develop innovation and avoid disruption. But startup corporate collaboration is not easy to implement. We have asked our corporate startup stars how they innovate. This is what we got.
$34 years ago, Huawei opened with just $5,000 in registered capital. At that time, we luckily benefited from the generosity of other major companies who were willing to take a chance on a newcomer. We believe this idea of paying it forward is important for healthy ecosystem development. Supporting startups not only helps them achieve business success, it also helps them bring their novel and sometimes revolutionary ideas to the whole world. For example, in France, our Digital Impulse program has helped more than 80 startups break into the international market over the last 8 years. And in Asia Pacific, we plan to invest $100 million in the next 3 years to sponsor Spark Founder Summit. Together with initiatives like our Shining Star program and the Huawei Developer Program, designed for individual developers.
Schneider Electric, like most large corporations, relies heavily on its core R&D activities. This innovation machine has kept our company evolving and always at the forefront of energy management and automation. We can partner, we can invest, we can even build new companies through our incubation practice. One really important internal initiative I should mention is the Dare to Disrupt Challenge. The Open Innovation Tournament we recently ran had 647 participants forming 242 teams across 3 themes. 2,500 plus employees were engaged in our data disrupted community, with multiple sessions of live webinars and weekly content related to the themes of entrepreneurship and innovation.
SAP I/O is responsible for driving SAP's open innovation activities inside and outside of SAP to scale and grow their businesses by bringing them together with our customers. Internally, SAP I/O Entrepreneurship empowers entrepreneurial employees to launch new ventures and build the next generation of software for SAP. Once these employees get funding for their ideas, they are able to grow these businesses in the SAP I/O Venture Studio until they're ready for general availability for our customers.
I would say the most important activity is open innovation itself. We have over 400 projects in our portfolio at any point in time, of which the vast majority are working with startups and external companies. We've spent a lot of time making sure that our teams have the right support mechanisms in place and operating model that we can build upon and learn from previous experiences and pass those learnings on to the next projects. And we measure the non-financial and the financial aspects of all of our projects.
There are so many open innovation activities at MasterCard because at our core, we're really a business to consumer company. So everything we do is about working with partners and customers to go forward and create new things that serve the ecosystem, whether that be consumers or small businesses. One example is our MasterCard Developers Portfolio. Another great example is StartPath, which is our 6-month program that runs waves throughout the year, that works with many different size fintechs and helps them really accelerate what they're trying to do for their business, not only with MasterCard expertise, but again, also with access to the services and products and assets that we have available.
So I split this into 2 main sections. The first area is around culture, where within the organization, we're much more open to innovation and open innovation. And then the other part is we're open to work with anyone. Whether you're a startup, whether you're from the academic world, whether you're a large corporate, an accelerator, venture capitalist, we want to work with you.
As an open innovation unit, our main objective is to connect Telefónica with the best innovation coming from startups and the ecosystem. And I would say that the 2 main things that are part of our identity is first, invest on those startups because we are investors and we have different vehicles. But at the same time, we want to generate business between those startups and Telefónica.
I think some of the most important activities that we have done have also been accentuated by COVID as we are suffering from an unknown enemy in this world. The Makers Lab that is stationed in Pune in Tech Mahindra is home to a lot of these startups that come up, a lot of these startups that come and work with us. Even kids at the age of 12 or 14 love to come to Makers Lab, and there are some products that we are building where kids have given that idea in how we take it forward. So open innovation as per Tech Mahindra is the only way to set up a collaborative ecosystem to innovate for the future. And not just for us, but also for humanity at large.
신한금융그룹은 스타트업 성장 가교의 의미를 지닌 혁신성장 플랫폼 스퀘어 버치를 통해 일자리 창출과 경제성장이라는 구체적인 사회적 가치를 추구하고 있습니다. 특히 신한 스퀘어 브릿지의 오픈 이노베이션은 신한금융만의 오픈 이노베이션이 아닌 수요 기업들의 통로와 네트워킹을 제공하는 플랫폼 역할을 분명한 차별점으로 두고 있습니다. 기업의 경계를 초월한 지식에 접근하고 내외부의 유기적 협력을 통해 혁신적 인프라 구축을 꿈꾸는 많은 기업들을 위해 신한금융그룹은 네트워킹의 장을 제공하여 스타트업과 레거시 기업들의 기술, 서비스 교류의 장을 열어주고 있습니다.
Our innovation activities aim at inspiring the passion of employees for innovation and promoting Xiaomi to become the pioneer of innovative lifestyle in the IoT era. Over the years, starting from smart homes we have been actively building up our ecosystem. We strive to work with our partners to achieve the ultimate goal by harnessing our AI and IoT technology capabilities to create more AI-powered usage in scenarios in our everyday life.
Innovation is at the core of our strategy, not only to generate value for the company, but also to promote the entrepreneurial ecosystem, bringing to life our goal to create and share value with all our stakeholders. Our Open Innovation area is part of the Digital Transformation Agenda, whose mission is to create new ways of working, leveraging data and technology to create more value and foster agility to the teams. We have the Open Innovation Academy, teaching Suzano's employees how to conduct an open innovation project. We have the Acceleration Program, exploring new technologies and connecting Suzano's teams with the surrounding innovation ecosystem. We have a very strong mentoring program, promoting business leaders to act as mentors to their local startups. And finally, the Food for Thoughts, a series of events and lectures to increase engagement and culture of innovation.
With the service industry changing at exponential speed, consumers aspiring for more personalized services, and clients looking for more leading-edge solutions. From the external standpoint, there are three key activities. 1. Building partnerships with startups to bring in their latest tech solutions to support our operations, both global and local. Next, Sodexo Ventures, our strategic venture capital fund that make minority investments in startups working in complementary fields to enhance our service offer and to explore new business models. And then, Sodexo Accelerators program, set up in several countries to strengthen our ties with the startups ecosystem.
Well, at Nestlé, we have implemented over the last couple of years a number of very important elements supporting open innovation. A series of elements is dedicated to our entrepreneurs, employees who have great ideas, who have entrepreneurial skills and entrepreneurial mindset. And we want to help these employees to realize their ideas. So Ingenious is our internal proposition system, our internal ideation system.
In the last 10 years, we built an ecosystem of innovation called InnovaBra. The main purpose was to accelerate new solutions and foster innovation culture and mindset in the whole organization. InnovaBra is a hub of collaboration with employees, business areas, clients, companies, startups, technology partners, investors, and advisors in Brazil and abroad. It allows us to continuously screen innovation opportunities for Bradesco and its clients, as well as relevant startups for strategic investments.
There are many organizations specifically active in the area of startups. So first of all, Robert Bosch Venture Capital, active since 14 years, most mature in many markets. As a spin-out out of RBVC, we have Open Bosch, which is mainly using the venture client model to support the cooperations between startups and the Bosch business units. We have another organization in BSH, Bosch Siemens Hausgeräte, called Startup Kitchen, also using the venture client model. The DNA program in India supports the region India very much, and the Bosch Startup Harbor in Berlin also supports the early cooperation with startups. And last but not least, we have the Bosch Connectories, a startup ecosystem also around the world.
Open innovation is key for BNP Paribas because it's key to strengthen the collaboration, to be stronger in having the next services and products. So we have three main activities in terms of open innovation. The first one is business collaboration with the external world, whatever it's startups, big tech, academics, partners. The second is more the investment side. So we invest in the startups that will be very important in the next world. And the last activities is advising startups, helping them to grow and to boost their development.
At Bayer, we started to really work out a complete strategy of open innovation. G4A started now more than 12 years ago, and it's helping us not only to connect with the ecosystem of digital entrepreneurs, but also to stimulate that ecosystem. We also have a lot of activities of connecting with the external environment with crop science, and at the corporate level, we have LEAPS. LEAPS is our arm investing in early and disruptive innovations that can change really the world, whether it's for crop, for consumer, or for pharma.
So at Stade Aramco, we have a lot of open innovation activities. We collaborate with research universities on early stage research. We work with many companies in R&D collaborations to advance technologies, and we invest in startup technology companies with our venture capital. And in all those cases, we bring them together in our ecosystem and allow them to work to bring their technology as quickly to market as possible. So whether you're an entrepreneur, a scientist, or one of our own employees, if you've got a great idea, we want to get that to the market as quickly as possible by validating it, fast-tracking it, and deploying it.
Innovation is at the core of Iberdrola's strategy and represents the main tool for guaranteeing the company's sustainability, efficiency, and competitiveness. The company sees innovation as an open and decentralized process and promotes the creation of an innovative ecosystem to attract outside talent in order to obtain knowledge and create added value for the company and its stakeholders. In order to keep the group at the forefront of new technologies, the company is involving all of its technology suppliers, including university, technology centers, equipment suppliers, and startups.
There's some sums that I think that are really important on the many fronts that I think are important for us. The first is our 5G core solutions that incubate incubated in one of our businesses, which has allowed us to have a full 5G stack for telco carriers. The next one is electronic health records. This is an idea identified by one of our teams. The idea is to incubate and to pilot in partnership with one of our field teams to launch the GreenLake, HPE GreenLake for electronic medical records through the EPIC deployments, which is an industry-wide standard. The third one is what's called a trader station. A trader station is a solution based on an idea to address COVID-19 related challenges. This idea was quickly incubated within the last year and provides virtual desktops for traders while they use the architecture that meets the compliance and the power requirements of all of the traders. It's really an interesting platform. We have a payments and loyal membership platform that made its way into the marketplace that was launched as a service during Discover 2021. And then there is also one that's kind of interesting and a little bit more closer to me, and that was something we called the Element. The Element was a platform by which our best of HPE gear and equipment comes pre-packaged along with the software necessary to run the GreenLake Cloud platform. That was codenamed the Element, has now become GreenLake Lighthouse. So these programs and processes are going through these programs and many others are going through the innovation cycles here within HPE.
It is around three major axes. The first one is OPE. OPE is a one-stop service platform which track and scout innovative technology around the world. The second one is ICE. ICE stands for Higher Israel Innovation Center. So it's the front-end office for the innovation and tech. The third one is the recently announced Higher Open Enterprise. So it's our Higher Europe venturing arm. The objective of Higher Europe Open Enterprise is to fund scale-ups of mid-sized company, totally following the R&D model, and of course will help us on both entering in the capital of the company on one side and enabling during discounting also to make sure that we can leverage on some of these companies also for our other innovation and ecosystems project.
In Eni, we are facing an extraordinary, unprecedented and massive strategic business transformation in order to cope with our ambitious goal to achieve the zero emission in 2050. We have created an international global ecosystem of partners ranging from different industry, from consulting firm, startups, company for other industries, research centers, and university. Second, we opened a physical outpost in San Francisco, Silicon Valley, where we are seeking the most advanced technological and digital solution. Third, we signed in the last couple of years relevant partnership, especially on those projects that are key to achieve our ambitious goal. And finally, we are also focusing very hard on the power of data.
Our open innovation activities and programs at ENGIE are manifold, from the detection and support of our entrepreneurial projects, the scouting and testing of external startup solutions, for investment, for startup collaborations, for acquisition, as well as building new ventures with the various constituents of this very rich open innovation ecosystem. For detecting our entrepreneurs, we have the yearly innovation trophies, for which we receive over 500 projects every year. And in our venture builders ENGIE factories in Paris, Singapore, and Latin America, we build new ventures with the help of our startups, our entrepreneurs, and sometimes just serial entrepreneurs who can help us build these ventures for the future.
In Enel, we started to work on open innovation about 5 years ago, and the first thing that we did was to open an innovation hub in Israel, in Tel Aviv. We structured the team of our innovation hubs around the world in Tel Aviv, as I said, in San Francisco, in Boston, in Madrid, from which we cover all of Europe, and then in Italy, in Spain, in Brazil, in Chile, and in Russia. And from these innovation hubs, we are able to find the right startups to work with. We usually connect directly the business people of our company and the technology people of our company to startups to do testing activities, opening up our labs, our expertise, whatever is needed to the startup to finalize the development of the solution and testing it with us.
At Nagas we have several open innovation activities, but what we are focused are in two main aspects. The first one is to create a very good ecosystem in relationship with the most important economic centers and technology center in Spain. And in the other hand, to have specific calls in order to attract the talent for the startups and for universities across Spain and Europe.
In Boost Lab, we have three main verticals. The first one is our acceleration program. The program consists in a 6-month program where we invite a lot of partners of the bank and very senior executives from the market to help the entrepreneurs with mentorship and to give them a boost to help them to achieve the next level. Our second vertical is our corporate venture capital arm, where we invest in the best entrepreneurs that has passed along our acceleration program, always focusing in bank-related services. The third vertical is our venture debt arm, where we provide credit for the entrepreneurs to extend their runway before raising money via equity in the next round.
Open innovation is not a one-way road. It is multifaceted. This is the framework we use to capture the various modes of open innovation can be achieved. And this is an evolving framework. Constantly, the Corporate Startup Stars Awards follow evolution. We have categories to recognize the different modes corporates can innovate. The first one we recognize is entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship is more and more turning from an HR-driven initiative to a tool for producing a qualified deal flow. Some companies are opening to external contributions, meaning startups, and focusing on producing solid projects to be executed. Particularly, we identified 3 companies that have been able to master their entrepreneurship programs.
Corporate accelerators have been one of the first tools to be used to engage with startups. It comes not as a surprise that they are under reconsideration. Trends include shifting from early stage to scale-ups, going virtual, moving from education to hands-on tailored support, no longer taking equity. Here are the 3 companies that are leading the corporate accelerators transformation process.
Venture builders are the new kid on the open innovation block. This growing trend for venture builder is pretty clear, although the model is still evolving and can be varied by a significant degree from company to company. Here are 3 trendsetters in venture builder.
The venture client model is heavily adopted, but it requires a global reach to be effective. Local initiatives do not produce enough results, especially for corporate headquartered in smaller hubs. These are 3 companies that, in our experience, are mastering the venture client.
Corporates are increasingly recognizing the value that startup investment bring, not only in terms of financial returns, but also access to new technologies, talent, and strategic markets. Innovation leaders typically invest through dedicated vehicles, corporate venture capital or CVC, though with different implementation techniques. We decided to recognize this year 3 very innovative approaches to startup investing that we believe others might follow. And these are
no exit, no party. That's one of the mantra in the startup world. Acquisitions are needed to keep the wheel of innovation spinning. Corporates have to be more active in the M&A front. Here are 3 companies that distinguish themselves either for the volume and or quality of their M&A activity. After assigning all the category awards, it is time to unveil the names of the 50 companies that we recognize this year. Let's start with what we call the 25 Open Innovation Challengers, the upcoming stars. Great companies, very innovative and startup friendly. Here they are in alphabetical order. In the global effort to bring open innovation in the top priorities among the different industries around the world, we want to recognize the best performers for each continent and region. Beyond the top 3 companies, here are the winners.
Innovation is everywhere and is impacting, hopefully for the better, everybody's life. These awards are a celebration of the best performers in that very endeavor. But what are the technology the corporate startup stars are focused on in the short term? We have asked that question. This is what we got.
Going forward, there are many challenges and many opportunities going forward related to open innovation. The fields that we will be working at will be, first of all, platforms. The platform economy will be key going forward. Second one will be data and artificial intelligence as a way to boost our revenues, but also to find more efficiency in what we're doing.
In the light of current and future megatrends, we are heading towards an exciting time. Increasing connectivity and a resulting new level of complexity demand creating digital infrastructures and ecosystems. What is important now is customer-centric innovation. It is important to not only think of solutions and technology, but to identify the real problems together with the customers in order then to offer them real innovations with added value.
One of the main upcoming challenges is related to open finance opportunities and platform distribution models. In this context, AI, big data, and blockchain infrastructure are important technology enablers.
Enagás Emprende main goal is to diversify our business portfolio, but the most important is to contribute to the energy transition. The climate change is pushing us to speed up all the effort in terms of investment in new technologies that will make possible this transition to a greener economy.
We are open to look for many different technologies, of course, but the most important technological areas for us now are still the digitalization of our assets. And at the same time, what we are looking for, which is particularly important for us, is electrification of the final consumption.
The key areas of focus for our research and innovation activities obviously mirror those of the key strategic objectives of our group. Given our strong emissions in renewables, there's a lot of research and innovation going into making our renewable assets more competitive, more flexible, more sustainable, more digital. We also have a large focus on everything which is green gases, whether it be hydrogen, biogas. And lastly, we have a number of clients who we need to support in their decarbonization journeys.
Perseo focuses on technologies and business models that are working for the electrification and decarbonization of the economy. These are the main two verticals, which include renewable technologies, storage, electric heating, hydrogen, solutions that can help to integrate renewables or energy efficiency.
MasterCard will continue to drive innovation around our multi-rail approach and all of the services and products that surround that. And so if we think about that, there's been a lot of discussion around cryptocurrency, open banking, digital ID, data consent, and we'll continue to innovate there in many ways. We'll continue to innovate around moving money around the world in a safe and secure way with the data principles and values that we have.
Any technology that can move the needle when it comes to decarbonisation of the grid is particularly relevant and important for us. Any technology that helps us transition our gas network to net zero in an affordable manner for our consumers. Anything that helps us solve the disconnect between increasing electrification, the intermittency of renewables, and the desire to keep costs low. When we think about some of the challenges that we face, the challenges that we all face, not just in the energy sector, is how do we embrace these new technologies faster to drive us forward to decarbonising the globe?
Well, there are a number of areas which are highly relevant for us as a company, where we are welcoming new ideas, where we are welcoming open innovation and collaboration. For instance, if you take the area of sustainability, a very big challenge to get that all convened and combined on the product level. And for that we need science and technology, and we need creativity, and we need collaboration with the external world. And that encompasses also collaboration in the area of food waste. You all know that on the global level 30 to 40% of the food is wasted, which is not acceptable. And here we have to work very hard to reduce this. Another area which merits also a look, and which is probably equally important, is affordable nutrition. And actually those two topics are somehow interlinked.
Let's talk first about data and artificial intelligence. Data and AI are at the heart of our innovation model to offer a reinvented customer experience, smarter networks, and greater operating efficiency. Therefore, we are launching our first innovation challenge focused on this topic to support startups on data and artificial intelligence through innovative products, services, and infrastructure components. The second innovation challenge we have is, of course, a major concern: the environment. and achieve carbon neutrality by 2040, despite the explosion of data usage on its network.
We continue to see a lot of innovations in different lines of business and across all industries. One area that is of particular interest to both SAP and our customers is the area of sustainability. We have the opportunity to work with a broad set of very innovative startups in the sustainability space, and together they can help the customers achieve the global SDGs.
It's devastating for me personally to explain to my children that when I grew up with 4 seasons, we now have a 5th season in California, fire season. Truly, climate change is an existential threat, and we are working fervently in our innovation group and across all of Schneider Electric to invest and partner to decarbonize the planet and make industry more sustainable.
신한금융그룹은 오픈 이노베이션을 통해 개방적 혁신을 누리고자 하는 한국의 레거시 기업을 위한 전문적인 협력 체제를 공고히 해나갈 계획입니다. 이를 위해 수요 기업의 니즈를 정확히 도출하기 위한 사업 실행 전 협업 방안 모색에 많은 자원을 투입할 계획입니다. 궁극적인 스타트업과 레거시 기업의 성장에 귀결될 수 있는 모범적인 이노베이션 프로그램이 될 수 있도록 노력하겠습니다.
Sodexo is a B2B player, but is now making a shift to refocus its offering on consumers. As such, we are concentrated on finding right tech solutions, partnerships, and business models. To support this transformation, we are building a more seamless multi-channel experience for our consumers, bringing our corporate social responsibility values and contributing to the local communities we are operating. Some key areas include innovation in food tech, FM digital solutions, and growing data and rich capabilities.
We will continue to push the open innovation agenda in 2022, focused on 3 key drivers. First, we will seek to accelerate the digital transformation of our current business, seeking for solutions that bring greater efficiency and productivity to our core business. Secondly, we will seek initiatives to accelerate the development of technology and innovation in our current products and new bio-business developments. Finally, we will look for solutions that can help us achieve our long-term sustainability and diversity goals. We know that innovation entrepreneurship ecosystems are very important partners in the pursuit for these solutions that are critical topics not only for Susanna, but for society overall.
So tech areas that we are primarily interested in open innovation, not just for year 2022, but in the future, has been in this order. Number 1 is of course AI. We want to extend AI to become more generic in terms of solving problems. So can AI be inspired by neuroscience? Can AI be inspired by some of the workings of the human brain to actually evolve it better? That's one of the areas that we're working on. The second area is quantum computing. And quantum computing, by the principles of it being reversible, is also a very, very sustainable technology, and we could solve a lot of problems which are not generally solved by classical computing measures. Number 3 is there is a lot of talk on metaverse and AR and VR being augmented to metaverse. So we'll be looking at metaverse in a big way to understand how that metaverse today changes lives, particularly in the environment that we are with COVID-19 and everybody physically isolated.
Tech areas more relevant for us in 2022 continue to be offshore wind, carbon tech, the circular economy, hydrogen, buildings and energy storage. And of course, as I mentioned before, you can see that we have quite a lot of acceleration programs around that.
It's relevant for us, everything that comes around the business. So for example, we are very focused on different verticals and ecosystems like education, health, and mobility, energy, those that the company has identified as big ecosystems in which we want to play. But then we also are very focused on things that are coming, for example, like metaverse, decentralized networks. We are looking at those opportunities as tech bets. And then when it comes to a telco, of course, we are very intensive in what comes to 5G and this kind of technologies that are part of our network. So we are looking for use cases that emphasizes the value of 5G networks. And finally, the sustainability, the climate change, everything that comes around these solutions that are going to build a better world for everyone.
Yeah, I mean, several areas come to mind. I think the first one is, as we deliver our Mayor's transport strategy, Vision Zero is core to that. and we have to get to 0 deaths on the road network as a result of any collisions, and no serious injuries either. Tragically, we had 125 deaths on London's roads network in 2019, and that was reduced to 90 last year, but we will not stop until we get to 0. Another area is the carbon and the environmental agenda, where we're looking for innovative solutions there. And also from a thematic point of view, understanding the role of immersive technologies, understanding the role of robotics and new materials. How can all those areas help us deliver our mayor's transport strategy more quickly, cheaper and more effectively?
There are 2 areas that are relevant for us and maybe for companies which are interested in working with us now and beyond. First of all, we took a bold step in the exploration of future technology with our new bio-inspired quadruped robot, CyberDog. The second area is our smart electric vehicle business. Smart electric vehicle represent one of the largest business opportunities in next decade and represent an indispensable component of smart living.
We have special challenges not only for 2022 but also for the next 10 years. Right now we start a special training program with Israel about exponential technologies. Additional, we start to create new offer value beyond our current business like insurance or banking. So we decide to create new ecosystems like mobility, health, and home, for example.
In 2021, Brazilian Central Bank launched the Open Banking platform in Brazil, and this agenda will be pushed even further in 2022. The Open Banking agenda can be a real game changer for fintechs and new banks like us, because we will have a lot of data that we don't have today and can be more assertive and more direct in product offerings with the correct price. So we believe that we will focus on solutions and fintechs that can help us develop these new product offerings.
The biggest innovation challenge facing us and the world is delivering a stable and inclusive energy transition. We as a company have set a goal to reach net zero Scope 1 and 2 emissions across our wholly owned operations by 2050. We are investing in a technology portfolio that includes low carbon hydrogen, carbon capture utilization and storage technologies, low carbon fuels, and non-metallic materials.
Open innovation embraces all sectors, including public organizations. We decided to recognize 2 organizations from the public sector that has distinguished itself for adopting an open innovation approach. And here are the 2021 Public Sector Award winners. Now we come to the time to unveil the 25 corporate startup stars, and here they are in alphabetical order. Is the time to find out who is sitting in the top 3 2021 positions. Number 3 2021 corporate startup stars is Xiaomi. For successfully rolling out an open innovation strategy that builds on both an ecosystem approach and startup investments. In fact, Xiaomi has invested in hundreds of IoT startups thus far, while also setting up a team of industrial designers dedicated to working with the portfolio startups to help them create products that fit in Xiaomi's strategy and quality standards. This way, Xiaomi ensures great synergy across the different companies of its ecosystem, while providing actual support to the portfolio startups. Faccio dire qualcosa.
You want to say a couple of words?
Thank you. Okay, thank you very much. It's our honor to receive this award, and thanks for ICC give us this chance. I think innovation is a key of the business and also is a key for the world. So let's make innovation together to make the world better. Thank you.
All right, now we're down to the second position, and in the second position is AXA. And this is a motivation. Open innovation often happens in sector adjacent to the core business, which is where AXA proved to be an international benchmark in. In fact, we recognize that AXA effort in fostering worldwide emerging technologies and business models in spaces such as health tech, telemedicine, digital therapeutics, mobility, car rental, fleet management, and others, such as cybersecurity. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. I'm very proud to win this this award. It's recognizing the effort and all the progress that we're doing in this field, in this open innovation field. It's actually a collective effort that we see across the globe with our colleagues from different AXA entities in 50 countries, and I would say it's a very good signal that we send to the startups and to the scale-ups ecosystem that we are more than open to open innovation, and we're open to cooperations. Thank you very much.
Anders, that's your honor to call the winner.
It has truly been so rewarding and inspiring to have interacted with the various members of the open innovation ecosystem throughout the entire judging process. There are a few things that really struck the jury. The first one is that it is no longer open innovation just for business. It is open innovation with the purpose to serve the planet, the universe, humanity. Another thing that has struck the jury is that those who we have chosen as winners in all categories and in all regions were not content just to have open innovation in their own corporations or in their relationships with the startups. No, most of the winners have reached out to their entire communities, engaging everyone in the ecosystem and involving them in the open innovation process. Many times they have done it with challenges. One company who has systematically pursued open innovation with purpose and involving all nations, all genders, all generations, is the grand winner of this year, 2021. Who else could it be but Pfizer? This is not the result of a one-off stroke of luck, however, but it is the outcome of years of specific innovation activities. In fact, Pfizer has a comprehensive open innovation strategy, integrating collaborations with investments such as in Resilience, Lionbow, Pyxis, plus entrepreneurship and venture building, such as Cerevel Therapeutics, which spun out, and acquisitions, i.e. Trillium Therapeutics. And yes, the partnership of Pfizer with the startup BioNTech epitomizes all that I've mentioned above by crossing nations, generations, gender boundaries to come together to literally save the world. Let us all clap our hands and raise our glass to celebrate Pfizer.
So we are at the end of this terrific celebration. Hope you enjoyed the time we spent together. By the way, we will be interviewing, Mind the Chat style, all our corporate startup stars starting next week. So you can have the opportunity to deep dive into their own approach and secret innovation recipes.
John, it was great to host you in Paris, and we are looking forward to the next year edition. I think that is not quite right. Wait, you know what? We're going to take it over. But John is supposed to say this.
Yes, but we don't want to ask you.
Oh, come on. John, please come. Please come. Yeah, no. So everybody, I don't know how I got pulled into this. No.
Let John say.
Okay, absolutely. You're supposed to
stand up for 1 second.
Well, I mean, it's a big sentence, and Candice has already rehearsed it for me. So it's a great pleasure to host the awards in Paris. It's wonderful to see this city celebrate innovation. More importantly, as Candice says, celebrating open innovation for a purpose and with a purpose. And as I was just explaining to Uwe, one of my first roles when I took on the role of Vice Secretary General of the ICC was to rediscover the purpose, which is to enable business worldwide to secure peace, prosperity, and opportunity for all. We love being with you, and we love your part, the parts you play with that, helping us deliver that as well. Thank you very much, and thanks for being with us.
So stay here. I think with this we're done. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm hungry too. The last thing I wanted to say, I want just to thank all the people that got involved in the preparation of this, all the team members that you see here, and the ones that are abroad working, behind a screen. So thanks to all of them, and we'll see you next year. Thank you.
Thank you.